The neural revolution. The silver cutlery clinked against fine porcelain as our family gathered for our monthly dinner at the estate. I smoothed my worn jeans, feeling shabby next to my brother Marcus's tailored suit and Mom's emerald necklace. My backpack containing 6 years of neural interface research sat beside me like a faithful companion. Elena, Dad began, cutting into his prime rib, we need to talk about your AI project. I set down my water glass carefully. The neural mapping system I'd been developing had consumed my life since leaving Stanford. What about it? The investors are getting restless, he said, sliding a contract across the polished oak table. Cortex Dynamics wants to acquire the whole thing, Marcus grinned smugly. Finally, that garage lab was embarrassing the Harrison name. But we're on the verge of something incredible, I protested, pulse quickening. The brain-computer interface is showing unprecedented success rates. Success doesn't pay bills, Dad interrupted. Harrison Enterprises needs revenue, not research papers. I've already negotiated the sale, $25 million. Mom patted my hand condescendingly. Sweetheart, it's time for something more practical. Marcus's division is generating real profits. By buying and repackaging existing software, I muttered. By making money, Marcus shot back. While you waste time with your basement experiments. Dad pushed the papers closer. Sign the transfer agreement. Cortex is being generous with $25 million for unproven technology. $25 million, I almost scoffed. Dad, the applications alone could revolutionize. Could revolutionize nothing without commercial viability. He cut me off. My phone vibrated insistently in my backpack, then again and again. Popular tonight, Marcus sneered. With steady hands, I retrieved my phone. 4 messages from the patent office marked urgent illuminated my screen. I opened the first. Neural Interface Patent Number 892347 approved. The second, FDA Breakthrough Device Designation granted. The third, Military Applications Classification. Priority Alpha. The fourth made time stand still. Initial licensing offers starting at $8.2 billion. Please respond immediately. I looked up at Dad, who was already signing the acquisition papers with his gold pen. About that signature, it's done, he declared, capping his pen with finality. Welcome to reality, Elena. Fascinating timing, I said calmly, rotating my phone toward them. The patent office has a different perspective on reality. The pen tumbled from Dad's grip, leaving an ink splatter on his pristine documents. Marcus's fork froze mid-bite. Mom's wine glass stopped halfway to her lips. 8.2, Marcus choked. Billion, I finished. Not million, billion, I stood, shouldering my backpack. And that's just the opening bid. Dad lunged for the signed papers, but I was quicker. These, I held up the acquisition contract, are meaningless. The patents are registered under my name, not Harrison Enterprises. You can't do that, Dad sputtered. The company funded, my inheritance funded it, I corrected. The trust fund Uncle Robert left me. I never touched a cent of company money. I smiled, remembering Uncle Robert's parting advice, never let them steal your thunder, kiddo. My phone buzzed again. Excuse me, I said, reading the notification. That's IBM raising the bid to $9 billion. Shall we reconsider who needs to join reality? The dining room fell silent except for the soft rattle of Marcus's trembling silverware. I pulled out my tablet, displaying the neural interface prototype that had dominated my existence for 6 years. Let me show you what you nearly sold for pocket change. The holographic display illuminated the dining room, showing neural pathways communicating with digital systems in real time. Dad's face paled as he grasped the implications. Direct brain-computer communication, I explained, manipulating the 3D model. No lag, no interpretation errors. Paralyzed patients walking again, amputees controlling robotic limbs with thought alone. But your progress reports showed minimal advancement, Marcus stammered. I laughed softly. Those reports were carefully crafted misdirection. Watching you steal innovations from other departments taught me valuable lessons about information security. Mom's hands shook as she reached for the wine bottle. Elena, surely we can discuss this as family, like you discussed selling my life's work. I swiped through additional patent documents. This isn't just one patent, I filed 18. Neural interfaces, brain mapping algorithms, thought recognition systems. Dad's complexion had turned ashen. 18. Neural prosthetics, memory enhancement, cognitive rehabilitation, I listed, watching him flinch with each word. Conservative estimates value the complete portfolio at $30 billion, but that's likely low given the medical applications. Another notification lit my screen. Speaking of medical applications, I smiled. That's Johns Hopkins requesting an emergency consultation. Marcus knocked over his water glass, liquid spreading across the white tablecloth. You manipulated us. No, brother. I protected myself from a family that should have protected me. I smoothed my jeans, standing tall. Dad, as CEO of Harrison Enterprises, you might want to reconsider that title, I interrupted, producing one final document. Remember those board restructuring papers you made me sign last month, the ones you didn't bother reading thoroughly? His hands froze. Page 12, Section 4, I suggested, detailing automatic voting share redistribution in cases of attempted intellectual property theft. Mom gasped as Dad frantically flipped pages. I checked my watch, 17 minutes ago, when you attempted to force sell my research, I became majority shareholder of Harrison Enterprises. Multiple phones began buzzing as the news broke. I placed my napkin on the table. I believe my first act as controlling shareholder should be scheduling an emergency board meeting. Dad, you'll want to prepare your resignation letter. I gathered my things, pausing at the doorway. Marcus, clean out your office. Your software piracy operation is our first agenda item. The evening shadows stretched through the windows, highlighting the chaos left on the dinner table. Spilled drinks, scattered papers, and shattered expectations. My phone buzzed with another billion-dollar offer, but I was no longer interested in selling. I had grander plans for my neural revolution, and this was merely the beginning. The board meeting, the Harrison Enterprises boardroom, crackled with tension the following morning. 16 board members sat rigidly in their leather chairs, glancing between me and my father, who clutched the head chair like a life preserver. This emergency meeting is called to order, the corporate secretary announced, voice wavering. Behind him, screens displayed the company's stock surge, 63% overnight on news of the neural interface breakthrough. Before we proceed, Dad began, attempting his usual commanding tone, I want to address these absurd accusations. Let's begin with facts, I interrupted, activating my tablet. Mr. Peterson, please distribute the documentation. My attorney stepped forward, handing out comprehensive folders to each member. As you can see, Ms. Harrison's neural technology patents are independently owned. Furthermore, her acquisition of controlling shares is legally binding under Company Charter Article 9. Impossible, Marcus exploded, jumping from his seat near Dad. She's never even participated in company business. I smiled, pulling up security footage on my tablet. Actually, I've monitored every board meeting for 18 months. You just never noticed me. The screens showed various cleaning staff, interns, and service personnel in meeting backgrounds. Each clip revealed different faces, different uniforms, all me gathering intelligence. Synthetic skin technology, I explained, touching my now natural face. Patent number 7 in my portfolio. Remarkable how invisible you become when people assume you're just delivering coffee. Dad's knuckles whitened on his armrests. The board won't tolerate this manipulation. The board might be more interested in this. I cut in, clicking to the next screen displaying detailed records of Marcus's software theft operation. 6 years of stolen code, buried programmers, and destroyed startups. All to maintain the illusion of your precious development division. Marcus's face drained as his crimes filled the screens. Miss Harrison, Mrs. Chen from the audit committee spoke up. What exactly are you proposing? I stood, walking to the floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. Harrison Enterprises was built on genuine innovation by my grandfather. Not theft, not intimidation, but real technological breakthroughs. I turned back to the board. I'm proposing we return to those founding principles. My phone buzzed again. The neural interface bidding had reached $12 billion. I ignored it. Effective immediately, I'm restructuring the entire organization. The programmers you buried, I pressed a button and the doors opened. Familiar faces entered, talented developers Marcus had eliminated over the years. They're your new department heads. This is ridiculous, Dad sputtered. You can't simply. I can, and I have one more revelation. I nodded to Mr. Peterson, who distributed another set of documents. The neural interface technology is just the foundation. Meet Project Renaissance. The screens filled with designs and simulations that made board members gasp audibly. Even Marcus leaned forward, momentarily forgetting his anger. What is this? Someone whispered. The future, I replied simply. And it's already operational. The boardroom screens displayed a massive underground research complex beneath my small garage lab, a neural computing center spanning 4 city blocks. While you assumed I was tinkering with circuits, I explained, zooming through different facility sections. I built the world's most advanced neural research installation, funded entirely by my inheritance and private investors who understand true innovation. Impossible, Marcus breathed. Construction of this magnitude would have been detected by your corporate spies, I smiled. They were too busy stealing outdated code to notice real work happening beneath their feet, literally. I displayed the facility's test results. 4 weeks ago, we achieved direct brain-to-computer communication. Last week, we enabled paralyzed patients to control robotic bodies. Yesterday, we restored memory function in Alzheimer's patients. Board members' phones erupted simultaneously as markets reacted to each announcement. Harrison Enterprises' stock was skyrocketing. But that's not everything, I continued, advancing to the next screen. Dr. Martinez, would you explain your team's breakthrough? A woman Marcus had terminated 3 years ago stepped forward. Using Miss Harrison's neural mapping algorithms, we've developed a non-invasive brain-computer interface requiring no surgery. The prototype is ready for demonstration. Dad finally found his voice. You can't just these people were terminated. Illegally terminated, I corrected, after they refused to let Marcus steal their innovations. Speaking of which, I nodded to security, please escort my brother to collect his belongings. The FBI's cybercrime division wants to discuss his activities. As Marcus was led out screaming about family loyalty, I turned back to the board. Now, let's discuss Harrison Enterprises' actual future. Dad, you might want to take notes. It's your final board meeting. Mrs. Chen raised her hand. The shareholders are ecstatic, I finished, displaying the stock ticker. We're up 127% and climbing because, for the first time in years, Harrison Enterprises is genuinely innovating. I moved to the head chair, standing where my father had dominated the company for 15 years. Project Renaissance isn't just about neural interfaces. It's about transforming this company back into what my grandfather envisioned, a true technology pioneer. Dad stood unsteadily. You orchestrated this. Everything, the patents, the shares, the facility. 6 years, I nodded. Ever since you dismissed my initial neural interface proposal and gave the funding to Marcus's division instead. That day taught me that sometimes the best way to protect innovation is to hide it from those who would steal it. My phone buzzed again. The bidding had reached $15 billion. I clicked ignore. But now, I smiled at the anxious board members. We work in the light, beginning with a complete executive reorganization. Dr. Martinez, you're our new head of neural development. Mrs. Chen, I want you leading the investigation into Marcus's division. And Dad, he looked up, face gray, your severance package details are in your folder. I recommend accepting before the SEC investigation begins. Morning sunlight streamed through the boardroom windows, illuminating the neural future displayed on the screens. I had transformed from the invisible daughter to the most powerful person in the room, and I was just beginning. The new beginning. 6 weeks after the takeover, Harrison Enterprises headquarters pulsed with revolutionary energy. The oppressive executive floor had been converted into an innovation showcase, with transparent walls replacing closed doors and researchers collaborating freely. I stood in my grandfather's restored office, now mine, watching dawn break over the city. The neural facility's latest achievements scrolled across my tablet, spinal cord injuries reversed in days instead of never. Depression treated with precision neural stimulation, and brain-computer interfaces that made current technology seem primitive. Miss Harrison, my assistant entered, your mother's here, and the federal investigators need you to review Marcus's case files. I turned from the window, adjusting my blazer. How does Mom seem? Different, no jewelry today. I nodded. Send her in. Mom entered cautiously, and I barely recognized her. Gone were the designer dresses and condescending attitude. She wore simple professional attire and carried a folder. The house is sold, she said quietly. Your father's resignation is official, and Marcus, she paused, he's cooperating fully with the investigation. Mom settled into a chair. The evidence, it was worse than we imagined. He didn't just steal software, he destroyed lives, careers. I know, I replied, pulling up files on the wall screen. That's why I tracked every developer he ruined. Most are back now, heading their own teams. You gave them their futures back. I gave them what they deserved. I turned to face her fully. Something this family forgot how to do. Mom opened her folder with trembling hands. I found these in your father's study, your childhood sketches, circuit diagrams. Even then, you were trying to show us. For years, I said, not unkindly, and you saw what you wanted to see. The quiet daughter, the garage scientist, the family embarrassment. We were the embarrassment, she whispered. Your grandfather would have been so proud. I walked to the wall, displaying my grandfather's original patents alongside my own. He knew before he died he left me a letter with my inheritance. Watch the quiet ones, he wrote. They're usually building revolutions. My phone buzzed. Another breakthrough from the neural lab. Paralysis reversal showing 96% success rates. The board meeting starts in 15 minutes, I said, gathering my files. We're announcing the new medical division today. Would you like to attend? Mom looked surprised. I don't have a role anymore. Actually, I produced a document. I have a proposal. Grandfather's research foundation needs restructuring. It should fund young scientists, not social events. Interested? Her eyes filled with tears. After everything we did, the past is past, I said firmly. The question is, what will you build now? The boardroom doors opened and Dr. Martinez entered with the medical team, faces glowing with excitement. Another neural breakthrough ready to change the world. Time for the meeting, I told Mom. Are you joining us? She stood, straightening her shoulders. Yes, it's time I learned what real innovation looks like. As we walked to the boardroom, my phone buzzed again. The stock had hit another record. Marcus had pleaded guilty to all charges and Dad's retirement was finalized, but those weren't the messages that mattered. The one that counted was from the neural lab, clinical trials approved, first patients ready, we're going to change everything. I smiled, remembering my grandfather's words, the quiet ones build revolutions. And my revolution was just beginning.